All right, guys, getting started here. Let's do our screen share. See my happy, happy, joy, joy screen. All right, what could be more exciting? All right. To the wise, Joe, don't bump the video cable. All right, so that's how it's supposed to look. Okay, I'm going to do a quick refresh over here. All right, looks like we are rolling. And we'll do a quick present to everybody. Yeah, looks like we are cooking with Crisco. All right. Okay, there was a couple of those guys, I think this one who was sitting right here who said he wanted to watch. If you could just give him the wave, because it's only a few minutes long. Okay, guys, so today what I wanted to talk about was log parsing. So I'm going to try to run through quick stuff on parsing logs. So let's start with the way that we normally do it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump over here. I'm going to yank down some log files. Okay. So got myself a handy dandy log file. Looks like that. Nice long log file, right? What could be more exciting than a good log file, yeah? Yay, logs. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do what we normally do with log files. I would say the command that most people use the most for log files is cat and grep. So right now we're just doing Linux-based log files. We'll do event logs with PowerShell when we come back for another class. So right now I'm catting the access log. So the cat command is basically like read, right? So cat is like read, grep is like show me. So read this file, show me this IP address. And now you can see here's the number of times that it found that IP address in the log. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, hey, let me do the exact same thing, pipe wc-l, and I want to know how many times I saw that IP address in the log file. So we can see that that IP address hit 5 times in the logs. And you're going to see this a lot in command line Linux. You know, we do this, oh God, I hate to say it, more often than I care to admit. We do this a lot. So I want to rip through these logs, look for this particular IP address, see how many times I found it, right? Okay, so the first one was 5 times. Second one was 7 times we found this IP address. You guys seeing it? So we just got so much of this, right? Well, let's try to go back to my beloved language, Python. So did some really simple stuff like what's a string, what's an integer. But I think the coolest thing that I like with Python is storing data in a list. So like we did this yesterday, right? So let's say I want to make a list of fruit, right? So I'll make a list of fruit. So how about apples? Yeah. How about, you know, pears, right? How about bananas, right? So I get my list of fruit, and then if I want to iterate through them, I just say fruit, and then I give it like a number. It says, hey, show me that one. Hey, show me this one, right? Pretty easy for how to index through the elements in a list. Well, one of the things that a lot of people don't realize with Python is, let's say I create a variable, and the variable is f as in Frank. Now I'm going to say open access log, and then right here I specify with what permissions. So I want to open the file, but I want to open the file with the read permissions. So I'm going to say f open access log, and I want to just read it. Now check this out. Say dot read lines. So I'm going to say lines, equals f dot read lines. Do you mind just hitting that and then bumping that to voicemail? Okay. Oh no, I can't take the call right now. So it's probably my girlfriend, like, that I suck. All right. So the thing about this is f dot read lines reads in every line in the file as an element in the list. So you could say print lines, right? And boom, there's all of your lines, right? If I want, I can go lines, right? Throw this in brackets, and I just want lines 0, and there's the first line from the log file. Maybe I want the 10th line, and there's the 10th line from the log file. So it's so nice that it reads in each of these lines, and you can iterate and search through them. Super, super, super cool. Okay? I just find that it's one of those things that you just really have a tough time doing in other languages. All right, so let's try something. How about I do the same thing? I'm going to go f equals open, right? So I'm opening up this access log file. Then I'm going to do the lines equals f dot read lines. Now I'm going to say IP equals, right? And then I'm going to throw in an IP address. How about 141.101.81.187? Now I'll go for the string in lines, right? Now this is crazy. Python lets you declare your own iterator. So if this is the list name, whatever I'm iterating, whatever I want. So if I want to say for Joe in lines, you can. So I'm going to say for string in lines, say if IP is in string, right? Now I just say print the string, right? And when I do that, now it printed out every single line that had that IP address. Now think about that, guys. You're functionally doing this on 3 lines of code, right? So I'll do that. Lines. For statement. If statement. And print statement. All of the code required to search a log file for an IP and print every single line that contains that IP address. Like, that's it. Like, that is really it. So I used to write in this language called Perl. I don't know if any of you guys have ever heard of it, but I was a big Perl monkey. Like, you know, fight the war for Perl, carry my flag up the mountain for Perl. And then this guy I worked with, he was like, Joe, come on, man. Only people over 50 write in Perl. I was like, F you, man. Leave me and my beloved language alone. I love Perl. So he says, all right, man, let's write some code to see who could banner grab a port and who can do it in the fewest amount of lines. Whoever can do it in the fewest amount of lines will give the other person $100, right? So I wrote my Perl script to do a banner grab, and I got it to like 7 lines, and I was so proud of myself. And he did it in 3 lines in Python, and I was so pissed off. I spent the whole weekend trying to get it down into fewer lines of code. The following week, I started learning Python. That's my Python story. Okay, so let's try this another way. So I'm going to pop out of this. And let's VI find IP dot. Yes, I'm a VI guy. Don't laugh. So I've been using VI since the dawn of time, right? And I don't use any other editor. So I know all you people out there use things like, you know, Nano and, you know, gedit and all that kind of stuff. Yes, I still use VI. Do I want to change to another editor? The answer is no. No, I do not. So let's make let's go string Let's go user input. Right, okay, so we'll go raw input. Okay, so this is the stuff that we learned yesterday with raw input. So raw input is if you want to take in a string. Okay, so now I'm going to do that same thing. So for line, and I love this one. Check this out. Iter F. Check that out. What? That is so cool. So now I'll go IP, and let's make that line.split. Okay. All right, so this isn't my code. I actually had a student out. I thought it was so cool. Right? Everybody has those cases when your students prove that they're smarter than you. You know, problem with me is it just seems to happen like every single week. Okay, so let's do if IP double equates to string user input, colon, we'll print the line, and then f dot close. All right, so let me just check this code to make sure I got it right. Okay, so f equals open access log. That looks right. String user input equals raw input for line in iter f. Okay, IP equals line dot split. Cut it to the left. If IP equals that, print the line. Okay, so let's try that. Okay, let's go do some execute permissions. All right, so now let's Python find IP. Okay, and now it should prompt me for an IP address. And I'll throw it an IP. There we go. Yay! Woohoo! All right, so cool that this thing can find IPs for me. Super, super cool. Now, there's a reason why I did that, guys. If we look at the access log, let's do a head dash N1. If you look right here, here's the IP address, right? Just this part. But there's this space, dash, space. So if you look at what we were doing in the code, we're looking for that space, dash, space. And then we say, give me index element 0, which is going to be to the left of that space, dash, space. It's a way that we can get just the IP address out of that list. So I really like it. It's just super, super cool ways that you can grab stuff. All right. So let's see. I think that's enough for today. What are we covering tomorrow? Let's see. I think we are doing, pen tester task with Python. Okay, so tomorrow we'll be doing like port scanning with Python and stuff like that. If you're going to be dealing with more complex logs and looking for things like SQL injection, cross-site scripting, and stuff like that with logs, you're going to learn the big secret is to make a list. So we read every line log file into the list. Then you're going to have to make a list, search a list for items in the first list. So you make a list which contains all the lines in the log, and a list which contains all the attacks. So then you loop through that list and look through the other list for those things in the first list. So we'll talk about that tomorrow. All right, guys, glad you guys came out. Appreciate you hanging out with me. I'm going to call it quits and grab myself some lunch.